All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into a couple of baseball updates, stories, if you will. We get into a couple of, call them news stories. I'll try to explain that as we get into them. And then we got some space and sports stuff going on in the Junction. All that, plus a nice little cage fact for everybody coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's a show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything, and we have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine was pretty solid. A lot going on still. To give you just a quick rundown, how you doing for all the people interested on the spearhead leadership side of the house. I have a little bit more time each day during the week now to focus on spearhead. So I've been kind of in the lab working on the prospecting, the outreach, and I'll be able to actually start the YouTube series. I'm going to be doing a couple different formats for the YouTube. I still don't know if I'm going to put it on as a podcast yet. If worst case scenario, if I decide to do that too, it takes maybe an extra 5 minutes each week to create the audio file and then host it on the platforms. So I don't know if I'm going to do that yet because it's really meant to be visual, So we're gonna have some guests on. We're gonna be talking about leadership in different industries and markets and positions and people's careers and stuff like that. We'll be doing some solo shows with just me. I'd like to also get to the point where I have people on that we could do some. I don't want to call it free coaching, but have the coaching conversations, leadership development conversations, not just talking about leadership in their role in their organization or in their lives as a guest, but as somebody who has an issue going on, and we're going to talk through it right there, just a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to get people to be open to doing that. Maybe if I cover their face and name or something like that, I don't know, because I know it requires people to be a little bit vulnerable on YouTube for other people to see. But I mean, I'm going to be vulnerable too, because we're going to be having leadership development coaching kind of conversations. So people, you might think like that's putting you on the spot. What if you suck at what you're doing? I'm confident in myself, obviously. Even if you disagree, even if I'm talking through something, if it helps them a little bit, then we've done our job. That's the point of it, is to provide that little bit of help for in a situation that is not normal in this sort of industry, if you will. Normally, I'm talking with people. I'm learning about them on a deeper level. I'm learning about their issues on a deeper level. We're getting very clear on the issues and their goals, and how the issues are keeping them from their goals, and how, what leadership specific solutions are going to help to solve those problems and achieve those goals. So you have to, that doesn't happen in a 15, 20-minute conversation. But if I could get people at least open to having a quick, 20, 15, 20, 30-minute conversation, identifying an issue they were having, or a problem they had in their relationship or their business or whatever, and we could just talk through, hey, these are the steps to start taking, and then if they want to work offline, we could talk offline in a more long form medium, if you will, unless they want to stay on publicly and do it. So that's kind of what's going on in my brain right now. So that'll start posting pretty soon. That the Libretti Leadership Lab will start posting on YouTube very soon here. But that's what I've been going and doing this the past week. I got some work I'm still doing with my job, like some work that's taking up time, but not of not a lot of value for me, selfishly speaking, or for the grand scheme of things anyway. But a lot of behind the scenes stuff with the Spearhead site, so it's been keeping me busy. It's been keeping me out of the social loop a little bit too. So I got to get back out there and hang out with friends and have relax a little bit. So otherwise, long story longer, good week for me, productive week. Excuse me, long week. We got a lot of good things coming with Spearhead, and that's what I'm excited about. I know I blab a lot about it here on the LPDS, but I know you guys are my ride or dies. So you are the people that I want to have these conversations with and bring these updates with, the ride or die supporters. So I'm always excited to talk about this stuff with you guys and provide good updates. It's still a slow, painstakingly slow process in the trenches, in the dark trenches where you really don't know where the light at the end of the tunnel is. We're still going through that. We're still doing that, but that's what I'm here for. I'm just gonna keep digging through them. So, and I'm glad you guys are here with me for that. But exciting stuff to be had on the Spearhead side. So stay tuned for more as we continue to make that thing, a rocket ship. Speaking of rocket ships, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Something I missed in, the Katy Perry, Gail King space extravaganza last episode. We'll get into that at the Junction a little bit, but I want to talk about very quickly the Yankees, get it over with. There's really not much to say with the Yankees stuff, if you will. There was something else I had to say. It's on the tip of my tongue, on the forefront of my brain, and I can't for the life of me think about it right now. Anyway, I've been watching the Yankees as you know, not been doing they're slightly above average comparatively. They're doing right as I expected them to be doing. But there's a lot of conversation with the closer Devin Williams, the new closer they got from the Brewers. And I don't remember if I talked about this on a previous episode about Devin Williams, but I think I did. My issue with him is historically he's had good years and real nasty stuff on the mound. And again, historically he is a good pitcher. My concern has always been his playoff performance against the Mets last season. I thought that was very telling. And not just not like, oh, it's a small sample size, you can't go off of that. I understand that. I was more referring to like the mindset and the pitching prowess that I thought he lacked. And I'm not a pitcher. Guys like the Creature and the Wet Cat and anybody else listening to this who is a pitcher who did pitch in the game of baseball would know more than me. They'd be able to correct me. So I'm hoping that they do if I'm way off base here. But the way he pitched to the batters in the playoffs made me think either his staff, his coaching staff, was not smart, or if he was calling the pitches, he was not being smart. In fact, I thought it looked like he was coming off a little cocky because he does have some nasty pitches, but he was just relying on them relentlessly. And in counts against batters that you don't throw those pitches. And he eventually got burned big time when Pete Alonso smashed that home run off of him, I think to like tie the game or take the lead or whatever, when a game that the Brewers were going to win and they needed to win, and the Mets, if the Mets lost, they would have been out of the series. They would not have had the momentum to keep going to make it to the National League Championship Series. And Pete Alonso kind of saved them in that regard on that at bat. But he looked like he relied too much on A, knowing that most batters stink right now, which is fair. I would too if I were him. But then B, like not having to actually be a pitcher and I have to think about what pitches to throw, what batter, and what count, and what situation in the game, all this other. It didn't seem like he was doing a lot of that strategic level thinking at all. He was just going off of brute stuff and seeing how it worked out, and it didn't work out. And it seems to be going like that for him now with the Yankees as the closer. Now, again, smaller sample size. Also, historically, and the creature discussed this with me. He brings up a great point. Historically speaking, he does have slower starts, which is kind of funny as a pitcher to have a slower start, but that's what he does. So maybe this is the slower start for him. I don't know, though, because he's not having a slow start. He's having an absolutely abysmal start. All right. Now, again, small sample size. We're 20-something games in, maybe, and he's only pitched in 10 or 12 of them. So I get that. On one hand, I get that. The other hand, I also heard that, like, he's a guy that we need to be good to win. And he's no good to us if he's sitting on the bench. That's the only guaranteed way he's not going to be any good to us if we bench him and we don't pitch him. But there has to be a threshold, which I think has passed already. There has to be a threshold where the coaching staff says we have to make a change because he's costing us actual games. He's costing us wins. And those wins for the Yankees need these early wins. We talk about it every season. They are not a team that's going to blow the league out anymore. They're not the 1998 Yankees. They're not winning the American League in May or June. They need these wins now because they're going to need them at the end of the season when they're 1-2 games within the wild card or the league or the division. And he's costing you game after game after game right now. His ERA is like a 12 almost, like 11.25 or 12. Okay? A change has to be made. Do you have to bench him? Maybe not. Maybe just move him to the 7th inning, 8th inning. Put him in a different position altogether in that regard. Let Luke Weaver be the closer. Meanwhile, Luke Weaver is breaking Yankee records for most consecutive appearances and least runs given up and least runners put on base. Like, the guy is crushing it. He is lights out as the setup guy, only for Devin Williams to shit the bed. He was so bad in the most recent game I saw that after he gave up the lead, again, they pulled him for Mark Leiter Jr., the guy who I'm convinced they got from a cubicle. I think he was one of those guys that got scammed by those scam text messages where they're like, "Hey, this is Dave from this company. We saw your resume and it looked awesome. Send us this text on Telegram and we'll tell you all about this job offering we have for you." That's how they got him. They scammed him. That's the guy that they got. A guy who can get scammed by a Telegram phishing message. And he had to come replace your supposed premier closer. That's how bad he's doing right now. So a change has to be made. And I don't want to hear it from people like, even on the pro level, the announcers and the coaches and this and that, like, if you think Devin Williams shouldn't be the closer, you don't know baseball. Creature was telling me he's heard that a couple of times too. That's crazy to me. Because anybody who even just watches the game of baseball and has half a brain when it comes to baseball and is seeing his performance in the first 25 games of the season is saying the same thing. He should not be the closer right now. Move him somewhere else. That's not saying take him out for good or cut him or fire him or whatever. No, make a change though. Do something. Make him wear his hat upside down. Shave his stupid beard that he can barely grow and he was bitching about anyway. Make him pitch from the stretch. Do something different. Make him wear suspenders. Change something up. This is the one thing one of the many things that frustrates me so much about the Yankees the past decade plus is that they just do the same thing over and over and over again, thinking it'll change. And they don't have any good excuse for it either. They're not sitting there like, well, we saw something happen, this and this, so this is why we want to do this. Or we know that if the more he pitches, the more confidence he's going to get, even if he's doing bad. Like we know, there's no explanation whatsoever. They just do the same thing. They keep the same ball bag, shitty players out there, game after game after game, season after season after season. And then after it's too late, after they cost the Yankees millions and cost them wins and playoff appearances and World Series contentions, after they suck the Yankees dry for years, then they're like, maybe we made a mistake. But they don't even say it, though. They just get rid of him and say, we got everything we needed out of him. Actually, he got everything he needed out of you. Because he didn't have to even play good at all. And he still got paid and he still got playing time. So I don't understand their mindset there. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's all they do. It's I don't understand what they're paying these coaches for. Certainly not to think. I guess just to be puppets. I don't know. But that's the Yankees update. That's all I want to say about that. At least they're winning some games. Cool. Aaron Judge is being awesome. Shocker. That's it. Jazz Chisholm's batting 150 with a torpedo bat. Great. He stinks. Shocker. But he looks good doing it. Which brings me to my next bitching session is the rampant, I don't even know what to call it, in Little Leagues. And I've bitched about this in the past already, but I saw more of it this past week. Wet Cat just sent me a video about it. I talked to another buddy recently with these kids who are caring about and picking up on the stupidest, least important things about pro baseball, and they're not getting taught anything about actually how to play baseball or be tough, mentally tough, or physically tough, or anything. Saw a video of a kid in Little League. He's wearing a gold belt, multicolored shin and foot guard, batting gloves, fine, elbow guard. The helmet looks like a Britney Spears microphone, the little helmet extension to cover the face, $200 Oakley sunglasses, a $400 Little League bat, and he's got a puss pad, the oven mitt in his back pocket. This kid, by the way, is in Little League where you're not allowed to headfirst slide in Little League. We'll talk about that in a second, why that's important. I talked to my other buddy who told me in his kids' Little League game, one of the players on his kids' team got thrown out on a pass ball. The ball went past the catcher, and he went from first to second to try to take advantage of the dirt ball read. He got thrown out because he was in the middle of putting on his oven mitt and didn't get a good jump to go to second on a pass ball that goes to the backstop. Also in a league where you don't head first slide. You're not allowed to head first slide in Little League, in that age group. And I know I sound like the old man of my day. We didn't have puss pads. Yeah, we did. David Justice was wearing the elbow guard. Barry Bonds. I think Andres Galarraga had it on. Maybe Mo Vaughn. Guys were wearing puss pads. Guys were wearing everyone was wearing batting gloves except for basically Jorge Posada. Some other guys maybe didn't wear batting gloves, but everyone was wearing batting gloves. I believe Paul O'Neill and my favorite players wore the shin pad. The puss pads were around. So I don't care about that. I will say this, though. I play Little League. Okay? I've gotten hit in the helmet, in the shoulder, in the back, the arm, the elbow, the hand, the thigh, the leg, the shin, the foot. Everything. I've gotten hit tons of times in Little League. And there are times where every once in a while you got a pitcher throwing heat from 40 feet and you get a bruise on you. But there is nobody throwing at a speed, velocity, or even a distance where the ball is going to do any real damage to you as a kid. I'm not talking about an adult standing up there and getting hit by a kid. I'm talking about kids hitting kids. So from that standpoint, there really is no actual reason to be wearing any of those pads. None of it hurts ever nearly. It's not going to break a bone. Even if you get hit in the fingers, in your fingies, nothing's going to happen. It's going to hurt for a little bit, and you're going to walk it off. If you want to wear the thing on your helmet, or if you have a cage, yeah, it looks weird, but I get it. Head and face stuff you don't want to mess around with. I understand that. That's cool. Batting gloves, I don't care about. I didn't wear batting gloves because we couldn't afford buying new batting gloves 2-3 times a season because they rip up on you. And then by the time I made it to high school and college, I was already used to not wearing batting gloves, so I never used them. So it's whatever. You want to wear batting gloves? Cool. Wear them to protect your hands from calluses. Got it. Or blisters. You'll callus up if you don't wear batting gloves like a man. But you can avoid blisties with batting gloves. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. But you really don't need those. And the reason why they're wearing them is because they see the guys at the pro level doing it. Okay? The real problems I have are the oven mitts, the puss pads. I have a problem with that for the pros. You know I have a problem with that. Head first sliding, you have to slow down to slide anyway. It actually slows you down, and statistically speaking, you have less of a chance of being safe at that base because of it. So from that standpoint, it's stupid. Second of all, the amount of times people actually hurt their fingies, it's just, once again, statistically, not enough to justify everybody wearing puss pads, or Anthony Volpe wearing double oven mitts. I saw him in the recent game I watched. He gets on base, hands up scoring a run, and he's coming in. He hits steps on home plate. He comes in the dugout. He has double oven mitts, and he's slapping 5. I wouldn't slap him 5. I'd be like, dude, take these off. Like, stop being a pussy. Okay? Softball players are not doing that. Some of them maybe are doing it. But so this is not like you're acting like a girl. No, I wish you would act like the ladies. They do this in soccer too. Women's soccer players are much tougher than men's soccer players. I don't know what it is. So this is not like, oh, you're acting like a girl. Why don't you be a man? No, I don't. It's not about being a man. It's just not being a wimp. You're playing baseball. You're not going to hurt your fingies if you know how to fucking slide. Sorry, T Family Show. If you learn fundamentals, you will never need the puss pad. You'll never need the oven mitts. You won't need them. I'll even say nowadays with pitchers throwing 95 plus, most of them, you want to wear the elbow guard? Cool, that's fine. I get that. If you can't get out in time, it will, you could break an elbow. They're throwing hard enough where you could get hurt. The shin guard is whatever to me because I never hit enough foul balls off my foot to justify ever needing it. So that's whatever. The hand guard, again, if you want to wear them, whatever. But never. I've gotten hit maybe twice in my entire life, jammed up on the hands. So again, it's a numbies thing for me. I'm not going to waste my time putting on armor for something that statistically is not going to happen hardly at all. And I still have the power to move out of the way. Yeah, the ball's coming in fast. It could be a 98 mile an hour tailing fastball up and in. But we can figure it out. But it's the oven mitts that I can't stand because they don't make any sense. All you're doing is catering to your stupidity and the fact that you don't understand you need that because you keep hurting your fingies because you're sliding the wrong way. You're being stupid and therefore you're getting hurt. And so instead of not doing the stupid thing, you're just nerfing yourself up. And that's why I have a problem with it in Little League, because I know we always did that. Whatever the pros are doing, that's what you want to look like. You want to copy them. The problem is the pros stink these days. Most of them can't swing right. They have to use torpedo bats because they stink at hitting. And they're all flash and no function. So now we got this video of this kid looking like Jazz Chisholm up there with all the multicolor straps and armor and this and that. And the kid roll over Randy's to the second baseman. But at least it looked cool doing it, right? And this is, again, where I have a problem with the parents and the coaches. You have a golden opportunity to provide some wisdom and education to your kid. Hey, why do you want this oven mitt? Oh, Anthony Volpe wears 2 of them. Jazz Chisholm wears them. Everybody wears them. Okay, why do they wear them? Because they slide and it hurts their fingies. All right, can you slide like that? Well, no. So then why do you need it? Like, you could teach the kids to think. Hey, and you could even say, if I had my kid, I would do this. I would do this. Okay, now that you know the reason why, that you don't need them, you also know that if you choose to use it still, you're stupid. That's a stupid decision. Maybe I won't call my kid stupid. I don't know yet. Jury's still out. I haven't had a kid yet. But you let them know, hey, if you put this on, yeah, you're going to look like everybody else, and you're just going to be a sheep and follow the crowd, but it's also going to show other people like, oh, this kid doesn't know how to think because he cares more about his looks than actually learning how to play baseball, because we all know he doesn't need them. So do you want to care more about how you look to others, or do you want to be a better baseball player? And let them make the decision. They're kids. They'll figure it out. They'll probably pick the oven mitt, honestly. But I'm going to go the way of the Librettis before me, my parents, and just tell them we're too poor. Can't afford it. You get no puss pads, no elbow guard, no $200 Oakley sunglasses. Maybe you'll get batting gloves. But you better take care of your cleats, and you better take care of your bat, and you better take care of your glove, because you're not getting new pairs of those every season. Unless your feet grow and you need it. Obviously, as a kid, you got to have shoes that fit, but that's it. Then when you get into high school, you want new gloves and bats and stuff, get a job. It's just frustrating overall to see what these kids are deciding to care about when they're watching the pros. And I blame the parents, I blame the pros, I blame the coaches. These are just kids. Parents, why are you buying your 9-year-old kid $200 pair of sunglasses to wear at Little League? Why are you buying them a gold belt? Why are you spending $2,500 on Little League gear that you have to buy again the next year when they grow? For them to what? Again, hit a rollover Randy slow ground ball to the infield, not even get the ball to the outfield? Go spend that money on a good coach who's going to teach them the fundamentals of the game so that they're actually good out there. You want to get a kid to enjoy the sport? Help them get good at it. Not just look good at it. and pro players. Stop sucking. Jazz Chisholm, maybe stop caring for a little bit how many chains, how many lightning bolt chains you can fit around your neck and cool, different color, different themed pads you can wear, and bat higher than 200. That's what's mind-blowing to me. You bat 350, you bat 300, wear whatever the hell you want. Who cares? You're batting 300. You're hitting Hall of Fame numbies here. But you're not. You suck right now. And you care. It seems like you care about the stupidest things. I wonder what pads I'm going to wear today that's going to be matching the cool themes and it's going to show my true self. Your true self stinks at baseball. Okay? You're not going to be in the league long enough to show more of your true self because you're batting 148, dude. Can we just care about the important stuff again in sports? We'll get into more of that in the Junction, but that's all I have to say about the kids for now. I feel bad for the kids. I really do. You want them to like sports and learn from sports. Not just about what looks cool, because it's at the sake of their own intelligence. Everyone's wearing oven mitts. It's cool. It's a cool thing to do. We get all these cool Bruce Bolt brand gear with lightning bolts in different colors. Yeah, but you're making your kids look like they don't know what's going on out there in the world because they don't even need that stuff. It's not even legal to slide in the way that they would hurt their fingies to require that oven mitt. It's just simple. Seems like simple math to me, but whatever. I'm the old angry has been and / never was. So, whatever. Really quick before we get into the cage, before we step into the cage, I have to mention this. We're changing gears now, folks. We're going to get the tinfoil hats on very quickly. Okay, there was an update recently. If anyone's not tracking, Virginia Giuffre, I think is how you pronounce her name. I don't know. She was the first big child victim who came out against Jeff Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Lex Wexner, or whatever the guy who owns Victoria's Secret, all those guys. She was basically the first and the biggest to come out, to get the whole ball rolling on this, on the child sex trafficking Epstein stuff. She's got pictures with Prince Andrew. She's got pictures massaging Bill Clinton. She's got pictures with all of them on a sex pedo island. And she's been coming out and fighting the good fight for a long time now. Now, here's where things get a little crazy. Okay? A couple weeks ago, it was reported that she was in an accident where a bus hit her. I think it hit her car. Now, the reports that were put out there were that she was so severely hurt, she only had days to live. Okay? That was 2 weeks ago. That's what they said. They only had days to live. Fast forward 2 weeks to now, and a new update says that Virginia Giuffre just committed schmooicide and offed herself. I don't know if there was a note, but she was, they said, was she in Australia or something? I forgot where they said she was, but just out of the blue, offed herself. Also, they came out and said, yes, she was in an accident involving a bus, but there were no reported injuries. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is all that stuff is now out there. So did she get hurt in the bus accident? Did she not get hurt? Did she really do this to herself? All in a 2-week span. Also, this is the girl who is going up against the Epstein sex pedo crime list. Okay, we're talking past presidents. We're talking owners of media companies. We're talking owners of giant brands. We're talking British royalty. All of these bad, disgusting sex criminals that she's going up against. For years, she's been going up against it. And for years, she's basically said the same thing. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm not suicidal. And then after this weird bus accident that they were almost, it was like they were trying to will it into existence that she was going to die from this. Like they were going to go in. If she didn't die, they were going to go into the hospital and put the pillow over her head to finish her off. Then when they realized she wasn't, she didn't have that many injuries. Then she, all of a sudden, she out of nowhere, she's like, that's it. I've had a good run. Now it's time to end it for myself. If you believe that, I have a bag full of shit and piss to sell you. It doesn't leak either. I promise. The paper bag won't leak. You can hold it in your hand. It doesn't smell. It doesn't leak. No, it won't get on you. You could even eat it if you want. I got that bag to sell you. It's just a crazy, like, update, continuous, crazy, ridiculous stuff going on around these stories. When is it going to stop? When are we going to get the justice for these poor people, for these poor children? Who are they protecting? And why does it matter? Why do you think they're so important to the world's ecosystem that you have to keep protecting these people? I don't care if it's somebody I like. I don't if it's Nic Cage himself, I would be heartbroken, but I would look for the same justice that I believe all sex criminals, all child sex criminals and sex traffickers should get. And it sucks. It would be heartbreaking if Nic Cage was part of that. But that's how I feel. It doesn't matter who it is. If you do this shit, you deserve the justice that I want to have done to you. And Lord help you if I ever become president and actually in a position to get to the bottom of this and release this stuff, because you're going to wish a court of law saw your case before I get done with you. I'll go down. I'll go to jail. I don't care. But you're going down first. I'll live the rest of my days out in jail. You could go suicide me in jail, whatever you want to do, but I'm getting some of you. Okay, I'm giving you the justice that you deserve for ruining the lives of children and families everywhere with your disgusting, despicable, inhumane acts. Demonic acts, even. And this is just another crazy story to add to the pile of shit that this whole Epstein thing is. There can't be one person that actually believes she did this to herself. There can't be. And the fact they're not even hiding it anymore. Yeah, we tried to kill her with a bus. We tried to lie about her health so that when she does die, we can attribute to the bus. But when we found out she was healthy and good to go, we had to take care of it ourselves. And we said she killed herself. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I still will never understand why some of these people who are outraged by these politicians, the anti-Trumpers out there, the anti-RFKers out there, people who hate Elon, you're going out there and you're making a statement against these people, which is fine. I don't care about that. Like if you want to make a stink about something, get out, exercise your rights. Some of them are obviously you're not exercising your rights. You're breaking the law by vandalizing and all that shit. But you have no problem going to the ends of the earth for this seemingly stupid stuff. This is stupid in the grand scheme of things. But to get to the bottom of who is kidnapping and trafficking and raping our children, Oh, well, we don't know enough about it to actually find out to make it to actually do anything. You're just heads in the sand. You're just heads in the sand. And some of you have kids. And I've seen the stuff that you do for stupid shit. You would think you would care about this stuff. That's what's mind-boggling to me. I don't mind the people if you don't care about anything. Like it's like it doesn't control. I can't control it, so I'm not going to be bothered by it. And all aspects of this in this world, okay, fine. You control the controllables. You take care of your family. You protect them. You protect yourself. Got it. All well and good. But the selective outrage, and when you select stupid stuff over stuff like this, I know this is opinion based. I got it. Maybe you don't think this. Maybe you have reasons why you don't think this is a real thing. It's not important, and this other stuff is. Okay, fine. Agree to disagree. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's it. I can't for the life of me see how people don't think this is important, but again, it's opinion based. We're okay with it. I'm not okay with it. We're okay with it. I got to stop talking about this because you know how I'll get on the rants with the Epstein stuff. So we'll see what happens next in that case, in that whole debacle. Still waiting on the president to release more information like he said he would with those stupid influencer binders that those weirdos like that ginger DC Drano was walking around holding up like, I got it. I got the Bible. Nothing happened, dude. Nothing happened. All this pomp and circumstance just so you can sell your med kits on your Instagram. I guess good on you for being resourceful, whatever, but give me a break with that. That was a publicity stunt that was you could see it a mile away. What a joke. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. That's the closest I'll get to politics. When it involves conspiracies and tinfoil hats, that's it. That is it. So, with that, let's finally get into the good stuff. Maybe it's the good stuff. Who knows? We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by the Talit Toilet. Are you an aspiring Taliban extremist, not extremist, and in the process of turning your household into an authentic terrorist compound? Then you need the Talit Toilet today. No self-respecting Taliban warmonger would be caught dead taking a dumpy on a savage American toilet with all that indoor plumbing and toilet paper nonsense. That's why Tony Riggs and his team went to the lab to create the all-new Talit Toilet. The high-end military-grade steel shovel that'll dig the perfect-sized turd trench in your yard. The sharp spade design allows the Talit Toilet to dig into even the driest of backyard dirt, and the lightweight steel makes it easy to carry and utilize no matter where you are when it's time to lift your man dress and fire away. So if you're ready to pop a squat in the middle of your kid's 6th birthday party without having to go inside and miss the piñata pummeling, dig yourself a shithole with your all-new Talit Toilet by texting Tony Al Rigatoni on Telegram. And if you use the promo code Objective Bowel Buster, you'll get 29% off your Talit Toilet. That sponsor's not for everybody, folks. Not everyone's going to understand the importance of a good shovel for a toilet trench. Not everyone's going to understand the sacrifices and what kind of a true man you have to be to give up one of these regular shitty toilets that you sit on and wipe yourself with toilet paper. You're just not going to get it. So, if you are one of those who gets it, I got a phone number for you. Tony Riggs said to pass to you. You can DM me directly, and I'll pass you the phone number on Telegram to chat him up and get your Talit Toilet. Running out of sponsors. All right, the Cage Fact very quickly. It's a Cage update. It's a Cage project update. We have narrowed down the window for the release date of Spider-Man Noir, the live action series. Is it going to be on Amazon? I think it's on Amazon. Yeah. We've been talking about this for a while. The Spider-Man series. It's we know it's a real thing. We know it's in production now. We know that they're filming it in both color and black and white. So maybe they're gonna. We don't know if they're gonna have it black and white on Amazon or both, or maybe the combination in between episodes. Whatever. But they're making it happen, and they said recently that it will be ready to rock and roll and put out there to stream in early 2026. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to stream like if it's just the first season, or I don't know how they're going to. They didn't put out a schedule how they're going to release it or the specific dates they're going to start releasing it. But early next year is when they'll be ready to put it out. So it sounds like they're going to take their time building up the show, finding what actually works better with the black and white or the color, the dialogue, the storyline, whatever it is. Because a lot of times they'll film these shows, the whole season they'll film in like a summer, a couple months, and then they're out, ready for the fall or whatever it is. It sounds like these guys are going to take their time a little bit. So early 2026 is the latest and greatest. Very excited for that. Meanwhile, there are plenty of Nic Cage movies that have come out in the last year. I still need to go see The Surfer. I still need to see that Western, I forgot what it was called, Gunslingers or some shit. He's not the main character, but he's in it, so I'm going to see it. There's plenty of Cage to go around for everybody. So I'm excited for that. Also, if you want a guaranteed good movie to watch, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is always a go-to for me. I can watch it any day of the week and have a good time doing it. So that's the Cage fact for you guys. You're welcome. Move on over to the Junction. We'll spin the logo up. I don't have much today, guys. I already bitched and moaned enough. I try not to bitch and moan for the Junction here. I do want to bring up something I missed last week, and I feel terrible I missed it. And I'm not. I don't want to feed into the tinfoil hat theories of that there's no real astronauts out there, that we're not really going to space, that it's all green screens and string and underwater and stuff like that. There's a whole massive community out there who believes no people have gone into space yet. That's a tough one. Like that's a tough one. Do I think they're completely wrong? No. Do I believe it? Not necessarily, but here's what I'll say about all conspiracies these days. And you can call me jaded, you can call me a whack job, call me whatever you want, that's fine. Here's how I take everything now. After working for the government in some capacity for almost 2 decades, and still in one of my jobs now, I'm still, the customer is the government, still with the government. And after seeing things come to light over the past couple decades, seeing what they're capable of, what they're incapable of, the lies that they've been caught in, all the shit going on over my lifetime, anything that they say, or even the media says the government is doing or saying, anything now, I don't fully believe it. And again, you could call me jaded. You could say that's not the best way to look at it. I get it. I understand. It's I don't like admitting it, but I have lost all trust in any member of the government, member of political parties, presidential administrations, Congress, Senate, Supreme Court, Department of Defense. I can't believe anything they say. I don't trust them at all. The only people I trust are people I know personally and have a relationship with, not people I've met before that are in the military or in government positions or people just, that I'm acquaintances with. You have to be in the brotherhood, basically. Otherwise, I'm taking everything you say with a couple grains of salt. There's just been too many times where what has come out of your mouths is not what is actually going on for me to ever want to believe you again. It's going to take a long time and a lot of different people to actually be honest and show integrity to reverse that feeling I have. And I'm not sitting here and expecting you to feel the same way or going to chastise you if you don't feel the same way. Think how you want. But so back to the space thing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things out there when I listen to people, I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. You can debunk that in no time. Stop wasting my time doing this, saying this stuff, making these crazy accusations. But there are other things now I'm like, yeah, I can see the government wanting to do this. Would they be successful at it? I don't know. I've seen them botch so many things, so many simple things that there's a big part of me still that thinks they're incapable of pulling off any scheme of any sort. But I also know that there's enough very capable people in positions of power that can pull stuff off like that. So yeah, maybe it's possible that they're faking some space travel or they're not always having these guys up in the space center, the International Space Station, excuse me, and they're doing some green. Maybe, I don't know. It sounds crazy, but I'm not completely closed off to it anymore. All that's to say is that I completely forgot to bring up how the stranded astronauts, the ones that were stranded since before the presidential election, who now we're coming to find out now, and this is out there, this is not my opinion, this is not my conspiracy theory, this is out there now, that there was an opportunity to salvage them earlier, to come and pick them up and rescue them earlier. But the political parties in power didn't want to do it because it didn't look good for their political party. That's out there. That's not again, I'm not making that up. That's really out there. That's a real thing. I don't want that to be true, obviously. I'm not sitting here saying, I told you, this guy is a piece of garbage. No, I want these politicians to be good people. I want all of them to do well because it's good for us. These people out there who are hoping Trump does a poor job so they could go after him, I think that's a stupid way to think about things because you suffer for it too. And I am not in the business of suffering just to prove a point. It doesn't make any sense. That sounds stupid to me. I'm not going to outright call you stupid idiots, but it sounds like a very stupid, idiotic thing to want. I didn't want Joey B to be bad. I didn't want President Trump to be bad last time. I didn't want Barack Obama to be bad. I don't want these presidents and these politicians in Congress and the House to be bad at their job. Because when they're bad at their job, we suffer. All of us do. No matter if we like them or not, we're suffering for it. So I don't want this to be true either. I don't want it to be true that the previous political powers that be slowed this process down on purpose because they thought it would be a bad look for their party and help the other party out more. I don't want that to be true, but that's what happened. And they got stranded there, and they got released. They got rescued, excuse me. And that wasn't in the news very much. Why? Because the guy that they hate right now, Elon Musk, who they completely forget is an autistic genius. They don't care that he has autism and he's part of the spectrum that these people, I say they, like it's us versus them. No, it's us. But the people who hate Elon Musk are always talking about inclusion and this and that. Everyone's part of one family. We have to be tolerant, this and that. And if you say one bad thing about people with mental disabilities, you're an animal. Makes sense for the most part. But when this guy's got a mental disability, they completely forget that. Is it mental disability or a cognitive disability? I don't know what autism is. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what is categorized at medically. So he's got autism, but they don't care. They don't care that they're completely treating him like a piece of shit because they don't like him and they were told not to like him. So these poor astronauts who were stranded for months and months and months away from their family, deteriorating. You're dying out there. You're in no gravity. Our bodies were not built for that. They were deteriorating. They still can't walk regular yet. Like it's going to be, they said it could take years for them to get back to the full health and wellness and fitness capacity that they were when they first left. That's how bad it is up there, that they were trapped in. And that didn't need to happen. They were supposed to be up there for a few days. That didn't need to happen. And away from their families and struggling to find food up there on the space station because the space station was not supposed to have food for 2 extra people for 7 months. And they had like one little news clip of them getting rescued. They had a ton of internet footage of how it was faked and how a chopper came out and dropped them off, and then they put the cameras on to show that they were rescued and they weren't really out in space. Who's to say? That's the coverage you got. Not one thing about the fact that Elon and SpaceX were the ones who had to go create this rocket, work with NASA, get astronauts up there to save them and bring them back. And then as soon as that happened, it's almost like they paid Bezos to go and put this I called it Blue Heron last time we talked about it, the Blue Origin space wiener. It's almost like they paid him, hey, do this, fake this whole thing so we could talk about space, but not talk about Elon's space. And then they blew this story up like gangbusters. These astronauts who were stranded for months away from their families come back, and who's getting the limelight? People I don't even know. Gayle King, I guess, is she on TV doing something? Like, she's just a rich celebrity. And Katy Perry is just a rich celebrity. I know who Katy Perry is. She's just a rich celebrity who I think something happened to her brain. The way she talks on all interviews and on TV and stuff, something happened up there. It's almost like they put a chip in her brain and some like high school pothead is controlling her now as a joke. Like some genius behind the scenes scientist put the chip in her brain and then gave the control, gave the keyboard to his kid and is like, here, get out of my hair. Will keep you busy for a few years. Because she hasn't said one thing that makes one bit of sense in over a decade. The poor thing she cannot for the life of her be coherent. She can't say one thing that actually makes sense. She's just putting words in random parts in her sentences. I just feel so connected to love. What is that? Tell me what that means. Tell me what love is. Tell me what you think love is. Tell me how you're connected to love. What did she say on the spaceship? Somebody was saying like, "Oh my God, we're in space. Like, look at the moon. Oh my God, look at the moon." And she goes, "Oh my goddess, look at the moon." Like it's almost like she's purposely trying to say something different to get the attention and be different, but it always backfires. It just never makes any sense. And then we could go back to the fakery of it all. The fact that it could have very well have been just a publicity stunt to get the other astronauts and the Elon stuff out of the news cycle. Maybe some other stories going on that they didn't want to talk about, so they put this out there. There's more and more videos coming out about the malarkey behind this whole situation. It boggles my mind. It's all very strange. Now, there are some obvious debunking things that are possible, like the whole door thing. It opens on the inside and outside. I've learned that technically at the distance that they were supposed to be going to, it didn't need to be it didn't need to be pressurized like a standard space shuttle that was going further out into real space. So they could have a door that opens inward, but real space shuttles, the door opens outwards because the pressure would crush the door in and kill everybody. But they didn't need that because of the height that they were going at. It didn't require that. I don't know. That could be possible. A whole lot of things could be possible. The fact that it happened right after that, or to cover up potentially some other big stories going on, I want to give the real astronauts their due, and I apologize for not even talking about this in the last episode, because they finally got rescued. We were one of the only people talking about how they were still stranded in space, and it didn't have to be. And then I completely dropped the ball and forgot to congratulate them on getting back. It got overshadowed. That's how the media gets you. They got me too. Like I said, I'm a human being. I get got constantly. But that's the playbook they run. They shoved it down our face. They had the memes and the stuff on the internet was flooded with blue origin wiener space wiener stuff. Got me. Hand up, it got me, and I missed the real space update was that these guys got saved recently, finally. So that's all I want to say about that. I apologize. Moving on over, I want to talk about some lessons to be learned from the NFL draft that just happened, where that's continuing to go on. I don't know how many rounds of the draft are. I couldn't care less about the draft, mainly because the Giants, the New York Football Giants, usually draft a garbage class of candidates. Every once in a while, they'll pick a good player and then they'll blow it. Saquon Barkley, for instance. But I'm not terribly mad about their picks so far, at least the first two picks that they had. Their first pick was a defenseman, which I like. I don't, obviously you don't know how they're going to be, but I like that they're thinking about fixing the things that they need to fix. They still need an offensive line, so I haven't seen what move they made on the offensive line side. And then they picked a quarterback from Ole Miss, Jackson Dart. I don't know anything about him. He could be good. He could be a bust. They have Danny DeVito. They have Russell Wilson, and they have Jameis Winston. So they're no more quarterbacks for a while. Let's figure out, it doesn't matter what you put out there. You need an offensive line. So let's figure that out. Anyway, the big story that's going on is Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, primetime Deion, Neon Deion. If you don't know who Deion Sanders is, clearly you don't pay attention to sports or pop culture or anything like that. Deion Sanders is one of maybe two ever to do it well. Dual professional athletes, two sports, and to do it well. There's guys who've done it before, who've done both, but not. He was an all-star baseball player and a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame football player. And there was at least one season where he was playing for the Braves and he had playoff games for the Braves in baseball and then had to bounce over to play in the playoffs for football when he was on the Falcons or the Cowboys too. I think both teams. He was a Hall of Fame football player and an all-star baseball player. I think only maybe Bo Jackson was the other notable dual sport stud. Deion Sanders, everybody knows Deion. And then he took the college football world by storm by turning Jackson State into a football powerhouse in the FBS. And then he's with Colorado and he's trying to turn their team around. His son, Shedeur Sanders, who, athletically speaking, talent-wise, was probably the best quarterback in the draft this year. Talent-wise. And there was all the talk about him going first round, first pick. Maybe the Giants will get him with the third pick. Like they were all saying, whatever the teams in the top 5 picks were, he was going to one of those teams. And then he didn't go to one of those teams. He wasn't a top 5 pick. And then he wasn't a top 10 pick. And then he wasn't a first round pick. And he wasn't a second round pick. 3rd, 4th, 5th round. He gets picked up in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns, who already picked a quarterback in the 3rd round. And they finally got Shedeur Sanders. And there's a whole lot of shit out there talking about how the real reasons why he didn't get picked is because the teams didn't want his sort of bullshit atmosphere on in their organization. Now you can make that argument for sure. If you're outside looking in, you can see that, he's primetime Deion's son. Okay? They have a show about them. Deion has cameras following the team and following his family everywhere they go. So he's in the limelight constantly. Constantly. And he's always doing stupid shit. They have video after video after video, him acting like entitled, like with his peers and his players, acting like a dick a little bit to everyone, acting cocky like he runs the show, all this crap. These are just clips out there, mind you. A lot of them are no context clips. And I don't know if they've been put out to make them look bad or what the deal is, but there's a lot of out there. There's a lot of that stuff out there that makes him look like a bad person. There's recent rumors out there and reports from insiders of different teams saying that we interviewed him and he came in with a poor attitude and we didn't want that poor, cocky, entitled attitude in our locker room. He's not a team guy. He's a me guy, and we didn't want that shit in there. Who's to say? That kind of just fueled the fire of people saying, this is what you get when you got, this guy thinking he's hot shit. Then you have the fact that Colorado, most definitely influenced and pushed by Deion himself, he's his father, of course he would. They had Colorado retire his number, him and Travis Hunter's number. The kid played like 1 season at Colorado, 2 seasons at Colorado. He went like 8-11. Like his record is not good. And like there are Hall of Fame NFL players who have not gotten their number retired at their college. And they retire this dude after 2 seasons. It's a joke. I think they should unretire. If they haven't, they should unretire his number. I thought it was a joke, and then I found out it was real. And it doesn't matter about the kid or this talent. You played 2 seasons at a mediocre football school, and you didn't even get drafted. You're not even in the NFL yet. Don't retire the number. Wait it out a little bit. That was crazy. So that adds fuel to the fire of the whole Shedeur Sanders not a team guy. It reminds me a little bit about the movie, what was it called, Draft Day or whatever, where they tried to make the Browns look good in this movie, and in reality, they're one of the worst drafting teams in the history. They're so stupid. I don't know how they haven't fired their whole organization after all this. But in this movie, Kevin Costner is working for the Browns, and they had the same thing with this one player who's supposed to be this shit hot player, but he comes to find out from other players and other teams and this and that, like, he's not a team guy. He has no friends because all he cares about is himself, getting his stats up, running his numbies up, doing good for himself, blah blah blah, and he blah blah blah, and they find out they end up drafting some other guy and giving him a chance because they didn't want to go with the me guy. They wanted to go with the team guy. It kind of reminds me of that. But, A, that was a movie. Okay? And B, we're getting all these out-of-context clips that people are purposely putting out there for the reason to make somebody look bad. So we have to at least take the LPDS step back and think about this as objectively as possible. Like maybe maybe they're just trying to make a kid look bad and he's not like that. Or maybe he's just a 22-year-old hump-headed kid whose brain's not even fully developed yet. And he just needs some guidance. Maybe Neon Dion needs to take the LPDS step back and realize, hey, I've been pumping this kid up for too long. I need to teach him about humility and work ethic and not entitlement, and not retire his number and not do this for him and not put the limelight on him all the time. Maybe he needs to do that. Maybe that's not even the case at all. Yeah, maybe he had some bad interviews. Sure, that's possible. That's a possibility, but maybe not. Maybe if you look at the draft class this year, if you're a football fan, it's a pretty heavy offensive line, defensive line talent pool. There's not a lot of good quarterbacks. Not a lot of teams would waste their first pick on this type of quarterback. Like there's the QBs in the league in the draft this year were not good enough prospects for a team to who has a quarterback hole to be like, we need this guy. This is the X factor. This is the Tom Brady that we need. This is the what's the dude's name on the Kansas City Chiefs? This is the Kenny Powers voice guy from the Kansas. I don't know how I'm missing his name right now. I see his face with his hair. It's gonna kill me. I'm an idiot. I'll get it later on. That's not what you got with this draft. The quarterbacks were not worth these high round picks, most of them. So maybe that was the case. Maybe these teams saw that as like, hey, we have an opportunity to really shore up our defensive line or our offensive line. Let's do something about that. Let's take care of that so that when we have a our quarterback's not terrible, he just needs some better protection and he'll actually be a lot better. Most quarterbacks are like that, if you think about it. Let's be honest here. Tom Brady was good because he had the opportunity to develop his skills. If he was playing on the Giants, I'm not saying he wouldn't have been good. He wouldn't have been the GOAT because he's a good top-tier quarterback, athlete, football brain. He's an elite level guy in general. But the early years when he needed to develop, he had the ability to develop. He had a great team behind him. He had a good offensive line, great protection. They had a great defense that was shutting other teams down. And he had the ability to play the game in a way that he could develop and learn and grow without getting his breadbasket bashed in every half a second as soon as he hikes the ball. If he played on the Giants, he might have just been a guy who had to leave the league early because he had too many concussions. Luckily for him, we'll never know because he's now the best quarterback of all time in history. And like I said, Tom Brady's, like him or hate him, he was good enough that he could figure it out on his own. I'm sure he would not have been like a Daniel Jones who just got thrown to the wayside. But I don't see him getting, he was not the sole reason the team won those first 2-3 Super Bowls. Okay, go back and look at those seasons. Go back and look at those Super Bowl games. Okay? He had to develop. He developed into the greatest. And he had a team that protected him so that he can do that developing. Teams like the Giants, the Jaguars right now, the Panthers for sure. You're not developing on those teams. They're signing you because you're the savior, and you're most likely going to be a bust because we have no way of protecting you to get you to developing. So that was that's the possibility out there, is that we're going to shore up our team so that we have it when we get a good quarterback, or the quarterback we do have can develop and be protected to actually be as good as we think they are. Okay? And he fell. He fell to the fifth round. That could be why. In fact, if you look at the picks, that lines up more than the rumor mill does, certainly. But either way, there's a lesson here that can be learned. Either way, we can all learn a valuable lesson. And this is, once again, an opportunity for coaches of sports and parents of kids to provide to their children, to provide to the kids that they coach, to provide to the kids that they're parenting. Okay? Regardless of the real reason. Even if it was the offensive, O-line, D-line heavy draft, the public opinion, the perception is that this kid is not a team guy and we don't want to deal with him. Now, wherever this poor bastard goes, he's going to go show up to the Browns and they're going to be like, there's the kid who everyone said was going to go first round and nobody wanted him. Now we got to deal with him. Even if it's not true, he's already walking into that. Now, he gets to deal with that criticism. Okay? I say he gets to because he's such a good, high talent, high profile athlete. When you get that successful and that good at something and that well known at something, the haters are going to come and hate. Okay? And that's a good problem to have. That means you made it pretty damn far. Doesn't mean you're perfect and that you don't need to listen to feedback, but it means you're making some noise. So that's a problem he gets to deal with. Like, no, there's not one person who's been super successful and super famous at a high level like that didn't have criticism and hate and trolling and what have you. Dion certainly did. People were hating on him for his style, his personality. There's always going to be, the more high profile you are, the more eyeballs are on you, and it opens the door for haters, for more haters. There's not one highly successful person who hasn't had to deal with that. That's part of the success ladder that you got to deal with. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to get people hating on me on the Spearhead videos I post, calling me out for being, no, you have no credibility. You don't know what you're talking about. That means enough people are watching me, and it's generating some emotions in there that they feel the need to do that. So he gets to deal with that. But it still sucks because he could be a real straight shooter. He could be a good kid. He can actually be a hustler. He could be a respectful dude. He could be a team guy. But the public opinion, and there's enough video out there and stories out there that are adding an extra hill for him to climb now. Now, you're going to get a hate as a high-level athlete or success story, or anybody going, trying to reach those high levels of success. You're going to see the hate regardless. But you have an opportunity to tell your kids and show your kids, hey, let people hate on you for the way you dress, for your haircut, for your accent, for stupid stuff that doesn't mean anything. But see what happens if you go out there and you even feign cockiness or entitlement. This is actually affecting now your career. Because a first-round pick signing bonus, first-round pick plus signing bonus, is a lot different from fifth-round pick in the NFL. Okay, fifth-round pick, he's getting league minimum. Fine, that's still pretty good. That's it. Okay, first-round pick is getting the signing bonus, is getting the sponsorship deals, is getting all the bells and whistles with it. Okay. And that's a lot. I mean, it's not so much for him because they're a successful family he comes from, but for anybody who's coming from squalor and using their talents in the athletic world to get themselves out of it, get their families out of that squalor, change the game, that's a big deal. And I know it sounds like, oh, don't care what anybody else thinks, but you know, if you don't act like an entitled person, even if it's just a bit or just a joke or like if you put your work in and you show empathy towards others and through your actions you show you can be trusted and you care about the team and you care about the success of the people around you and you drop any sort of that of nonsense that could be construed as cockiness or entitlement or flashiness or selfish me person, me attitude, me monster attitude, then you don't have to worry about that. You can let them hate on you for your clothes or your jewelry, your earrings or your haircut or the way you talk, but they're not going to hate on you for anything else, and it's not going to affect. It potentially won't affect your future for your career. Just leave no doubt. Be undeniable. Unfortunately for Shedeur, he was not he was not at like an SEC school. He wasn't at an Alabama, an LSU, Florida, Georgia, one of these big schools doing that good. He wasn't that caliber at that high level school playing all these good teams. Colorado, it's not bad. They're still D1. They still had a Heisman Trophy winner on their team, but it wasn't him. Okay, he was doing well in a division that wasn't that great. So his skills as a quarterback, yeah, he might have been the best quarterback in the class, but they weren't so undeniable that people are going to be like, I don't care if this guy even comes off as a piece of shit who's entitled. We want him. We need a guy like him to win. There's guys like that out there. The Texans, even the Browns thought that massage assaulter, what the hell is his name? Not Lamar Jackson. Lamar is on the Ravens. I'm bad with these names. Same class, I think, as Lamar Jackson, though, or a year apart. The quarterback who got traded from the Texans, not traded, but released from the Texans to the Browns. Oh, terrible. My brain is mush right now. He was a guy that, like, at the time, at the peak of his athletic ability, every team was like, we need this guy. Lamar Jackson was the same way. Even Kermit the Frog over at Kansas City, whose name still escapes me, was not that way. And now he's the best quarterback in the league right now, arguably. Even Josh Allen was not that way. In fact, the stupid Giants picked that boob Daniel Jones over Josh Allen. Crazy. It's crazy to see now, but Shedeur Sanders was not that unique of a talent for teams to sweep under the rug any of those rumors of being a me monster and only caring about himself and not the team, not being a team guy. Unfortunately, he just wasn't. And the holes that the teams had this year were not big enough that they were willing to risk dealing with that type of personality on their team to try to be better. So whether he was cocky or not, it was out there, and he wasn't undeniable enough to overshadow that. So to me, it's just a lesson we can teach to future players out there, guys getting ready for their drafts in their sport or just in life. Either don't even come off as a shitty person or be undeniable. Or how about both? You could be both. You could be the best at what you do and also a good person. It's totally possible. You're still gonna get hate for something, but not for being garbage or a shitty person. Like I said, I feel bad for the kid. I mean, not too bad. He's still gonna be fine with his life. I think he's also talented enough to be fine in the NFL, at least for a few years. Hopefully, the Browns don't ruin him like they do every other quarterback, or maybe he gets traded to a team where he can actually flourish. Who knows? I think skill wise, he'll be fine enough to make a decent living for himself. And he's not an idiot kid. He's a smart kid. He's gonna figure it out. So I don't feel too bad for him. But I do feel bad for the kid that like he didn't obviously get enough guidance on behind the scenes of like, yeah, you're good, but you gotta don't walk around like your shit don't stink and treat people like they're beneath you. Or even make it look like you are. Like I said, I don't know for sure if he is if he is cocky and shitty behind the scenes. Just what's out there in the public eye is not great for him. So I feel bad for him for that. That he's just that's another hurdle that was created for him to climb over. But it's an opportunity, I think, for people to learn. Don't give people legitimate reasons to slow down your success journey. Being an asshole, being entitled, acting like your shit don't stink, that it's a lock and every team is going to pick you and I refuse to play for certain teams. Putting that shit out there is not going to help your case. Okay? And it's not true either. There's not been one irreplaceable human being in this existence for anything. There's always going to be somebody else that's going to replace us, that can replace us in any given aspect of life. So you should always be working and operating under that assumption. If I slack off, if I act like an asshole, if I act like I already got it, and I don't need to work hard at anything, relationships, work, sports, anything, there's always somebody that can take my spot. There's no such thing as irreplaceable. So teach your kids that now. Show them, hey, even if he's not a bad person, this is a heavy influence of why he is a fifth rounder as opposed to a first rounder with signing bonus and sponsorship deals and what have yous. Remember that, kid. When you're going out there thinking you're hot shit with your oven mitts on in a league where they're not even needed, remember that. Unfortunately for you, people don't forget that stuff. They don't forget the negative stuff. If they see something about you that's a negative, it's a lot harder for them to forget than it is to remember the positive. So either make your positives that undeniable or get rid of some of those negatives. And that's not to say only do stuff that helps the perception of you, because I don't believe that. I don't think you should be doing anything for the eyes and opinions of others. It's just for yourself. But I also don't think you should be a shitty person or a cocky, entitled human being just because you don't care what other people think of you. You should want to be a good person. You want to be a humble, hardworking, success-minded, team-oriented person in life anyway. So that's all I got to say about that, folks. I'm sure a lot of you don't care about the sports stuff. You can fast forward the episode. For those of you who like sports and enjoy this, or hopefully you enjoyed this. If not, I enjoyed it, so that's a win. Before we go, the big three, very quickly, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, and be able to spread that positivity and goodness throughout the land, through all those around you. Number one, exercise every day. Do one thing each day to focus on physical, mental, or emotional health and fitness. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Get out of the negativity and the shit. When the opportunity arises to be negative, to stew in the negative, to be shitty to somebody, to initiate negative stuff in the ether, take the LPDS step back, detach from those emotions, and omit yourself from the situation. Very hard to do. I got it. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Think about one thing each day. Actively think about it and what your life would be like without that thing. That will immediately put you in the state of gratitude. And if you do that more and more each day, more and more often throughout the day, you will be living in gratitude. And that'll help make it easier for you to not be a shitty person, to be a kind person. And you can go focus on your fitness. And you do all those three things a little bit each and every day. I promise you all, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being. You'll be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube's. Tell your friends and enemies. Comment if you like. Hit the hotline 202-670-1114. We have a hotline call I didn't want to get to this week. We'll get to next week. It's not what you think, but I do want to talk about it because it was funny to me. So if you want more hotline goodness, call the hotline. Tell your friends to call the hotline. Tell your enemies to call the hotline. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.